You may know her from Outlander, but did you know Caitriona Balfe used to be a model? Now, Caitriona Balfe wrote a powerful essay calling for more legal protections for models. What fashion brand will be selling NFTs? What could possibly be a reason to give Cheyenne praise? And why would Post Malone want to make a children's clothing line? Stay tuned to find out all of this and more in this video. So let's start with how Caitriona Balfe wrote a powerful essay calling for more legal protections for models. Long before Caitriona Balfe became known as Claire Fraser in Outlander, she was a model. She'd walk the runway for fashion giants like Chanel, Louis Vuitton, and Givenchy. But as Balfe reveals in The Hollywood Reporter, her success didn't protect her from massive violations of her right as a worker. Things like not getting paid on time, if at all. One of the detriments of working in a largely unregulated industry in which sexism is inherent. The main reason for this is how the industry is largely made up of girls and young women, whose work isn't even seen as work, but rather the benefits of winning the genetic lottery. Models are seen as privileged, without talent or skill, making them unworthy of basic protections or even empathy. And models are just expected to suck it up. Balfe was confronted with the full force of the difference of treatment once she transitioned to acting. And for the first time in her career, she knew she could trust that her paycheck would come, and how much it would be. Unions like the Screen Actors Guild are the reason that actors are guaranteed legal protections, just like most workers throughout Hollywood, and most other jobs really. Balfe doesn't hold back in calling out the predatory behavior of the modeling agencies, and is now using her platform to call on New York lawmakers to pass the Fashion Workers Act that would give models more legal protections. But there's even more to it that's equally important. Next up, what exactly is the Fashion Workers Act? On March 25, 2022, Zara Ziff of the Model Alliance joined New York State Senator Brad Hoylman and the models Karen Elson and Teddy Quinlivan on the steps of Lincoln Center, the former home of New York Fashion Week. In the opening statement, Ziff said that this bill will close the loophole through which management companies have been able to evade accountability. It will require those companies to pay the workers they hire within 45 days, provide models and creatives with copies of their agreements and contracts, discontinue predatory practices such as mystery fees, overcharging for services, and shoving 10 models in one way too overpriced apartment. The proposed legislation won't just protect models though. Also included will be hair and makeup artists, influencers, and other behind-the-scenes creatives. Models Elson and Quinlivan both shared stories of late payments and non-payments, making the case for financial transparency. No one should have to beg to be paid. But if the likes of Elson and Quinlivan are forced to, what about the thousands of unknown models and creatives? The Fashion Workers Act will ensure all these protected will be protected from being exploited any further in the future. Following, fashion brand Salvatore Ferragamo has opened an Ethereum NFT booth in New York City. Salvatore Ferragamo has given in and joined the swelling ranks of designers that are getting into NFTs, unique tokens that exist on a blockchain like Solana, or, as is the case for Salvatore Ferragamo, Ethereum. They signify ownership over an asset, like a piece of digital art. Salvatore Ferragamo has partnered with the artist Shakespeare to create the digital traits and visual elements for its NFTs. Shakespeare is known for his psychedelic 3D digital art with glitch and surrealist elements, who also worked with Coach to develop colorful holographic NFTs featuring Coach handbags. North America's CEO for Ferragamo, Daniela Vitale, explained in a statement why the brand chose to work with Shakespeare. Shakespeare reflects the energy of New York City and Soho. He's able to evocatively juxtapose grit with luxury in such a way that not many others can. All the NFTs created at the Ferragamo's booth will be free to visitors, but the amount of NFTs that can be minted will be limited to 256. Shakespeare also has designed a limited edition capsule edition of physical items for Ferragamo, which consists of 200 t-shirts and 150 sweatshirts. Some think that Ferragamo's approach to NFTs, having personalized ones, might seem gimmicky, but others are convinced that it feels like a next-generation photo booth, capturing IRL moments that are shared on the blockchain. We'll let you decide for yourself what side of the fence you want to be on. Hold up, next up, we'll explain what it was that earned Cheyenne praise at an international conference on fashion sustainability, why Post Malone suddenly has a children's clothing line, and we'll take a look at what could be the future of our high streets. Want to find out more? Stay tuned until the end of the video. Next, Cheyenne pledges to $15 million for textile waste workers in Ghana. It doesn't happen often that fashion behemoth Cheyenne gets an applause at an international conference on fashion sustainability. But that's exactly what happened at this year's Global Fashion Summit in Copenhagen. Cheyenne hasn't really been in a good light, and they need to make a lot of changes to become half as damaging to the environment as they are now. But at least they're doing something. Over 3 years, Cheyenne donated $15 million to a charity working at Cantamanto in Accra, the world's largest second-hand clothing market. The conditions in which the people here live and work is shameful. Accra's beach is littered with clothing. It's one of the low-income countries that Western countries have been using to dump horrific amounts of clothing. Liz Ricketts, director of the OR Foundation, announced the fund with tears in his eyes as he laid out the reality of the people of Ghana. Every week, 15 million discarded garments arrive in Ghana after they've been thoroughly sorted for quality items in several countries. That means that 40% of those garments are nothing more than waste. And the country doesn't have a way to deal with the rubbish. Cheyenne has been trying to offset the damage it does with its business choices, and has even been accused of greenwashing because the money isn't going to lift the people of Ghana out of the literal rubbish of the West. Following, Post Malone got inspired to design a children's clothing line after becoming a dad himself. If you didn't realize that Post Malone was even on his way to becoming a father to begin with, you're not alone. He only recently dropped the news that he had become the father after the birth of a daughter during an interview on SiriusXM's The Howard Stern Show. It almost seemed to have happened on accident, as he was telling a story about something else. After they asked him whether he was talking about his girlfriend, he admitted he was talking about his daughter. Malone has very consciously not been sharing the news with everyone, instead opting for a low-key approach, explaining, "I want to let her make her own decisions." But the new chapter in Malone's life has inspired him to design a line of children's clothing. The collection will feature pop art-inspired Post Malone graphics, making sure even the littlest fans can look stylish. There will be onesies, tees, hoodies, baseball caps, and tote bags among the collection, ranging in sizes from baby and toddler to youth styles. The line is called Postico Kids, with shipping scheduled to start in August. It's not clear yet if that means international or only for the United States, but let's hope it's for the former. And now, what is the future of high street fashion? Shopping centers and high streets around the world are looking about the same as Stretford Mall in Greater Manchester. It was once a place bustling with energy, but these days only 20% of Stretford Mall is occupied, and one of those occupants is Stitched Up, a place where things are done a little differently. Stitched Up isn't just your basic store. It's a shop, yes, where people can buy affordable second-hand material combined with a workshop and event space where people are invited to learn about sewing, mending, and upcycling. And once a month, the team also hosts a clothing swap and a regular repair cafe for the ones who aren't as keen to learn how to sew but still wish to make the most sustainable choice available to them. Bryony Moore, one of the co-founders of Stitched Up, explained that they subscribe to Ursula Castro's view that you already have the most sustainable garments in your wardrobe. Everything they do at Stitched Up is about trying to find ways to help people keep their own clothes in use for longer. It's a way to make sustainable clothing not just accessible, but wildly affordable, and they hope that their idea will spread because places like Stitched Up aren't just good for the environment. They can help people with a lot of mental health issues as well. That's it for now. Did you know that models were having such a hard time to even get paid? Do you think the new bill will be enough to tackle some of the biggest problems of the industry? Let us know in the comments, and thanks for watching.